Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. First things first, guys, make sure you're smashing the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And in today's video, I'm once again delighted to be joined by Antonio, and we're going to be discussing Liam Delap and whether he would be a good fit for Chelsea, with reports starting to emerge that the Blues are tracking the Ipswich Town forward. Mate, thank you for coming as always. Delap, talk to me. Obviously, maybe people don't know an awful lot about him. He obviously come through the system at Manchester City. I don't believe he actually made an appearance for the first team, or if he did, there were very few. He spent last season on loan at Hull City. 8 goals in 31 championship games, which I saw. Not particularly impressive. Nothing to really suggest that he would be able to go and do something in the Premier League potentially. Joined Ipswich this summer, and he started very well. 6 goals and an assist in 12 games. I've been impressed with what I've seen by him, and you can understand why Chelsea would be taking a look at him. But I mean, mate, talk to me a little bit more about Liam Delap, because he's obviously, and he's not been around for ages. But I mean, this is someone that, you know, did he impress coming through the ranks at City and whatnot? I believe he was part of Maresca's 21 side that won the PL2. So he has played with Palmer and played with Lavia. So, I mean, yeah, mate, talk to me a little bit about him.
Yeah, so the links make sense because, again, it's a Manchester City product and he's worked with Maresca before. And his profile-wise, he's very unique because he strikes you. When you first look at him, you would think he's a target man. He's just going to hold up the ball. But he's actually a lot more than that. He's got good movement. He's mobile. He's got loads of different facets to his game that suit Chelsea, what Maresca does with Chelsea. So, yeah, he needs a bit of refinement. Most young players do. But the potential and the signs that he's shown absolutely fit the bill for what Chelsea are looking for. Because he's got a mixture. His movement isn't as good as Jackson, but there's signs that it can be as good as Jackson's. And he's also physical, stocky, so he brings that inbox presence as well that you're looking for in a striker.
Yeah, no, mate, look, I'll be honest, I've not watched an awful lot of him. I've watched a little bit more of him this season because obviously he's in the Premier League and there's a few more eyes on him. I mean, his return of 6 goals in 12, or 1 in 2 for his first, you know, year in the Premier League so far in a side that is going to be, you know, probably, with the greatest respect to Ipswich, are going to be losing games most weeks.
Yeah.
He looks a real handful. He's got that physicality. He's got that aerial presence. You know, he holds the ball up well. He's got that link up play. You know, he gets a shot off on goal very quickly. He's a good finisher. And, you know, as you say, the links to Chelsea do make sense. Of course, there's a long way to go before the links turn into a bid and him actually coming. But you could understand why Chelsea are looking for a player like him. And, you know, Chelsea believe in Nicolas Jackson a lot. They offered him the new 2-year contract extension. He's at the club until 2033. Reporting The Athletic, I think last week, you know, stating that Chelsea believe Jackson's a top 3 striker in the Premier League. So as much as people would love a Gyökeres, or they'd love an Osimhen from the summer, or whatever other big name striker, actually, if you sort of come away from the big names and you look at it, and it'd actually probably be more beneficial for Chelsea in the long run to sign someone like a Delap, you know, for the balance of the squad and the benefit of the team, because it's not someone to replace Nicolas Jackson. It's someone to complement him and to compete with him. And, you know, the sort of the profile that Chelsea don't have is that physicality, is that aerial presence, is that kind of box presence as well. And for as good as Jackson is, he's not a box presence. You know, his finishing's massively improved. You know, he runs channels. He's great at the link-up play and all that. But if you want something a little bit different in a game, last 15, 20 minutes, or you're going to, you know, or you want an alternative to start against Jackson to give you something a little bit different, Delap being aerially dominant and that physical profile gives you something that right now Chelsea don't have in the squad. I mean, how similar would you say he is, mate, to someone like an Omarodion, for example, who the deal was agreed in the summer and for whatever reasons it fell through at the last minute? It's clear that Chelsea kind of looking at that physical type of profile. Is Delap similar to Omarodion in any way?
He is and he isn't. So what I find with Delap, his movement is exceptional. He doesn't mind peeling wide, very wide. So he's almost hitting the touchline on both sides. He's comfortable on either side, right or left. And I think that's what Maresca's looking for, because Maresca likes his strikers to be mobile. Amarodian's a lot more central, likes to stay central. But what Delap brings is he's very, very deceptive in his step count when he's running them with the ball. He's so progressive in his carries. He's very good at carrying the ball, but he also brings that inbox presence because of his physical profile. What I like about Delap, and I think you touched upon it just earlier, is how quickly he gets his shots off. Use these hips to generate loads of power, and you don't need multiple touches. If you look at Darwin Núñez and Nicolas Jackson at times, sometimes they dwell on the ball. They're taking that extra touch when they don't need to. Whereas Liam Delap, little snapshots, getting them off early, generating loads of power, and I love that. And he's comfortable doing it off both feet. Now, one thing I will think why suits Maresca's system more than like a Pep Guardiola system, and I can see, although how talented he is, I can see exactly why Pep Guardiola potentially let him leave, because his best attribute is in transitions. He's so good at getting in behind, making the movement, laying the ball off, and then making that movement into the penalty area. He's so good at that. That's why I think he suits more of a Maresca and a Chelsea style of play rather than a Pep Guardiola and a Man City style of play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a little bit of Match of the Day too at the weekend, and Danny Murphy, I don't know if he's gone overboard with the praise, but he thinks Delap's the best young English striker, and he can't really see any weaknesses in his game. Now, I think that's maybe a little bit premature, maybe a little bit getting ahead of himself, but the ability is clearly there, the talent's there. Obviously, I don't think Chelsea are going to make a move just yet. Reports saying they're going to be monitoring him for the remainder of the season. Scouts have watched him a number of times already this season. We need Delap to sort of maybe get between 10 and 15 goals in the league, which is on 6 already. You would expect that to be more than attainable, even in what is going to be a struggling Ipswich side. What do you think he can achieve for the rest of this season? Obviously, providing he stays fit, do you think he could maybe get 15 league goals?
Absolutely. I think between 10 and 15 should be his target. And I think the beauty about Liam Delap is we haven't seen the best of him yet. This he's not reified. He needs a bit of refinement, and I think he's just going to get better and better and better. And you touched upon what Danny Murphy said. And actually, he obviously knows a lot more about football than me. And Delap is, you can see the potential he's got, but there is areas for improvement. I think Jackson's got better link-up play. I think Liam Delap comes and shows for the ball well. He controls the ball well. He's got a nice first touch. But just making that decision on when to link up with teammates and bringing others into the game is where it's something he can improve on. So that's one aspect to work on. But in terms of movement, getting in the box, striking with both feet, an aerial presence, he's got all that already. And I can see exactly why Chelsea would want a profile like that, because not only does he bring that box presence, he's also got the power and the straight line running to get him behind as well. And that's the beauty about Liam Delap.
I mean, if he were to join Chelsea next summer, this is a big if, of course, and we're kind of going on assumptions here, but how do you think he would manage that step up? Because this is a guy that was on loan at Hull City last season, didn't do amazingly well there in terms of numbers. This is a guy now, one season in the Premier League with Ipswich, going to pay 20 million quid for him. Do you think he would be ready for that step up this soon in his career after just one season in the Premier League? I mean, to be fair, Jackson had only had about one season at Villarreal where he played as a winger. So, you can make that step up. But from what you've seen of Delap, from kind of what you've watched of him and stuff in the past, do you think that step up is too big for him after just 1 year in the league?
To be honest, I don't. I don't think it's too big for him. And I'll tell you why, because he's not going to be your go-to guy. He's got Nicolas Jackson to help him with that. And I think Nicolas Jackson needs somebody else as well, just to manage the workload. If you look at all the top teams, they've always had one or two strikers that they interchange with. And if you look at when Nicolas Jackson first arrived at Chelsea, it was roughly about the similar age. And he learned on the job, and he's just getting better and better. And I think because of Delap's playing in the Premier League, you'll understand the Premier League's rhythm and intensity a lot more. He's a lot more accustomed to coming into Chelsea and helping Jackson with that workload. And like I mentioned earlier, when you bring somebody like Liam Delap in, it's not a complete change in the way you play, because if you need him to move in behind, he can do that. If you need him to come and show for the ball like Nicolas Jackson does at times, he can do that. If you need him to be that box presence, he can do that. So you're not changing or adapting the whole team structure to bring somebody like Liam Delap in. And that's why it's a lot more a seamless transfer that it would be bringing in somebody that's a complete different style, like playing Chris Van Cuckoo up front.
Yeah, and plus as well, you know, there wouldn't be that pressure on him. You know, there wouldn't be. Obviously, the expectation level goes up, but there's not that expectation or that pressure for him to come in and deliver straight away, and that expectation that he scores 20 goals, because he would be, to start with, just an alternative option. But I mean, last thing, mate, how like him and Jackson as a striking duo in terms of two options to have. How do you think that ranks up? Do you think that's a decent attacking options for Chelsea? I mean, obviously, some of the fan base may be disappointed, you know, if it turns out to be Jackson and Liam Delap and Nkunku goes, for example, and a big name striker doesn't come in. But in Jackson and Delap, if that does happen, do you think that's a pretty good pairing that could be set to help Chelsea challenge for the title, which is ultimately what the club needs to be doing over the next year or two?
I do, but I do also think that we need to be patient with them, because we're seeing against Man United, Liam Delap missed a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And when you're coming into a Chelsea Football Club, look, every striker misses opportunities, but he just needs that little bit more composure. But I think he's using this season to generate that experience, to build up that experience, build up that confidence. But going into next season, I actually think they would work well together. And the reason I say that is because I always talk about football's not about buying the big name, it's about buying the profile that fits your system. And when I watch Liam Delap, and I've been really impressed the way he's just come into the Premier League, and you've got to think he's not in a team that's dominating games. And Chelsea have been dominating games. So if you bring that profile in this sort of setup, in this structure around him, it's only going to elevate his game. And I think that's why Chelsea are looking at him. Yes, there's going to be a bit of teething problems at times because he's still young. Every striker comes with that. But I do think his profile fits exactly what Chelsea are doing, because if you think back to last season under Pochettino, Chelsea were a lot more passive in possession, and they were a lot more just not as forceful or direct. And I don't think that would actually suit Liam Delap's game. But the fact that Chelsea are a lot more progressive in everything they do, that suits Liam Delap's game a lot more. And that's why I think his profile fits Enzo Maresca's system.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree on that. I mean, I'm a lot more sold on it than I would have been, say, a few months ago. It's easy to get drawn in by the big names. We all do. But actually, you're spot on with what you say in terms of you want the right profiles. Forget the name. You want a player that suits the style of play and will suit the system. You know, you don't want to bring someone in that, you know, you have to adapt them to the system. They should already be adapted to it, and they've just got to get used to their new teammates or whatever. It shouldn't be like a learning process for teaching someone how to play a certain style. So I wouldn't mind this deal happening. Obviously, let's wait and see how Delap develops over the course of the season. Let's see what happens with any other potential names. But I think in terms of a new striker for Chelsea, it's not going to be January. I think it will very much be next summer. But I think fans that are expecting a big name need to, you know, accept or prepare themselves for the fact that I don't think it is going to be a big name. And the more you think about it, Liam Delap to Chelsea, given the Man City links, given Joe Shields and Maresca know him, it almost feels like the most obvious kind of transfer going. But I mean, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you be happy to see Liam Delap come to Chelsea in the summer? Or would you want to see someone else? Let us know your thoughts.
Another point I want to make is financially. If you look at what Victor Osimhen's asking for players like that, if we bring in a Liam Delap and allow him to develop, it can allow us to invest better in different areas, such as a goalkeeper, for example. So you've got to think about that when you're looking at these profiles. It's not like just paying what he wants. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to look at that, because Liam Delap will improve the whole overall squad, but it means we can improve the squad elsewhere as well, with more financial benefit to do so.
And there's also that resale value there as well with his age, which I know people don't like to talk about, but that is a factor in football with signing players now, and particularly at Chelsea, you know, younger players. There is that resale value there as well, which is a plus. And of course, you know, I don't think Chelsea want to be spending 70, 80, 90 million pounds on a striker. I do think the days of Chelsea spending big money on players, I'm not saying it's gone forever, but I think, you know, you're going to see less and less of it, and it's going to be smarter, more opportunistic bits of business like we saw over the summer. But yeah, fascinating to see how Delap develops over the season. Definitely going to be keeping a lot more of an eye on him. Mate, thank you so much for coming as always. Greatly appreciate it. Let the people know where to find you.
Yeah, so that's my Twitter handle just there. So if you don't mind going to that, but you can also find us on YouTube. Just type in Antonio Mango, hit that subscribe button. Be much appreciated.
Yeah, guys, make sure you do that. Loads of great stuff over there. It'll be tagged in the title. So please head over and subscribe to Antonio. It would be greatly appreciated. As always, guys, smash up the like, subscribe to myself, and I'll catch you again in another one soon.